Hi, I'm Michael Komorn of Komorn Law, PLLC, and I'm here with Uncle Pete, Peter O'Toole, who is joining us today. We've gathered to try to highlight some of the amazing things that medical cannabis has been able to do for a number of people throughout the state, but primarily Victoria and her son Elijah. And it's been, if you've been following the story or want to take a look at the photographs that are going to be included in this, and you really see what could only be described as the medical use of cannabis, which is what Michigan voters have always voted for in 2008, and I think is evidenced in some of the magic that really helped Elijah heal some of his wounds. So I'm here with Peter O'Toole, family and friend, and the person that introduced me to Victoria and Elijah.
You know, we've been through a lot together in the last 10 years in our journey, but Victoria and her son Elijah are certainly the focus today, and the fact that we're able to come together as a team and offer her the kind of support that she deserves, I think is real important, and I just want to thank you for having us.
I'm Victoria, and this is Elijah. We're going to tell his story about how cannabis oil changed his life. He has had eczema since he was first born. First severe reaction when he was 3 months old. At first, when we went to the dermatologist, they prescribed him all types of steroids and creams and stuff that was just really burning his skin, and we couldn't figure out why. So then they continued to go into adult medication, and that was burning him even more. So there's scratching, tearing, bleeding, skin rolling off, redness, irritation, pussing, infection. He's seen at least 8 different doctors, dermatologists. We've tried 50 different medications with my son before we found cannabis. They weren't listening to me when I was telling him the steroids are burning his skin. And I actually asked them multiple times if we could try cannabis oil to, see if maybe it would help him or help him get a difference in these medicines that they're trying, And they just denied it and denied it and denied it. Cannabis oil, shea butter, and coconut oil. And we just apply it where he's itching, and it usually brings him instant relief. Unless there's something on his skin irritating, then I have to rinse him off. And usually in the bath we do coconut oil infused with cannabis oil. And I just put a teaspoon of that in his bath and massage it on him. I couldn't even believe my eyes. I posted it on Facebook, and within a week, 6 other people had messaged me, my kid's life is different. He started talking out of nowhere, sentences, a week after we started cannabis oil on him. But I'd imagine, he didn't want to talk because people would look at him so weird because, he's got all this stuff on his face. Kids are always what's wrong with him? But now he's running around, playing with all the kids, talking, eating everything in God's creation. He's like a normal boy again. It's been about 4 months now since we've been using cannabis oil, and we're seeing all different types of improvements. Talking, eating, walking, running, playing. Educational-wise too, he's counting and he knows his ABCs now. He's actually willing to focus and learn because he's not constantly digging in his face. This is actually helping him. If I could show you his whole page on Facebook that shows you the before and after of what he was looking like thick, wounds just dried to his face everywhere. And she didn't want to see it. They didn't even want to see the proof that I had that it was helping him. They just wanted to believe that I was trying to hurt him, which I would never do. It was like a blessing that slapped us in the face. Here you go, use this. Well, my one neighbor called CPS on 3 of us in the building, so I'm sure that's how.
Just a nosy neighbor.
Just a drama neighbor. She's getting evicted, so she wants to cause problems for everyone. Right after CPS left, I called Pete, listen, CPS was just here. They're trying to say that I'm drugging my child. This is crazy. We need to make sure that we're, safe on our ends. So he called Michael. He gave me Michael's number. I called Michael, and Michael's been a blessing ever since, honestly. He helped me sleep at night. I want people to know that if you open your mind and educate yourself, there's so many ways you could help your loved ones that aren't hurting their organs and hurting them in ways they don't even know about it. You could cure someone with a plant, literally.
Hello, I'm Michael Komorn of Komorn Law PLLC, and I'm here with Victoria Clarke, mother of Elijah. And it's unfortunate that a lawyer would have to be here, sitting beside Victoria, but that is unfortunately the way it is in many parts of the country, and certainly here in Michigan. There's an interesting part of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act which is unique in that it acknowledges that there are people under the age of 18 who can be identified as medical marijuana patients, and to do so would require a signature of 2 medical doctors signing off and approving or finding that the patient would receive therapeutic or palliative relief for the use of cannabis. We got in touch we friend of ours, a client of mine, suggested that Victoria may be in some kind of potential jeopardy with CPS, and we spoke and we assessed the situation and took whatever steps we needed at the time to insulate her from any kind of liability. And I'll leave it at that. If you have a sick child, you should have to be put to the task of making cannabis for your child, and should have the ability to acquire from others. So I think it's an important point to have been made. The remarkable improvement from Elijah in his use of cannabis and the treatments, that there's a medical cannabis situation here that is all about treating a debilitating condition. And as I said, it's unfortunate for me to be here, but I'm sitting here because if there was even the thought or threat of some kind of state action to separate a parent from their child, Komorn Law, myself, I'm prepared to battle over that. And it's important that the faces be put to the issues, because I've said it a lot of times, in 2008, 3.3 million people voted for medical marijuana in the state of Michigan, which is more votes cast for any other election that's ever been had in Michigan. And the intention was for situations like this, and to really, truly create immunity from behavior that would otherwise be illegal, but identifying immunity and giving it meaning and value, and not even suggesting the threat of some kind of state action in removing a child. Victoria called me via a prior client, and I was apprised of the situation that CPS was interested. There's a potential investigation that had been opened. I immediately got involved, and we created the barrier, or whatever, created the insulation of liability that was necessary. We assessed the situation, and as I began and learned more of the story, I realized that this was a case that CPS should not want to get involved with. The story that was told to me, the journey that Elijah and Victoria have been on together, is not just compelling, but very meaningful, and one that I describe in a lot of different ways. But what stood out to me was, you see, as anyone that is a parent that sees their child suffering is going to do whatever they can and give whatever they can and take whatever risk they can to stop the suffering. Listening to her talk and listening to her explain the story, and understanding and watching and seeing the remarkable medical benefits that had happened from the use of the cannabis. I mean, it's easy to get behind this family and try to be part of their journey and make sure that they're protected as they deal with these conditions.
My name is Uncle Pete from the Michigan Marijuana Seed Club. I'm a caregiver here in Michigan. This all started with some messages I got on Facebook that included some pictures of Elijah. He was in pretty rough shape. That was very apparent. He was head to toe scabs. His face was completely covered in scabs. I'd gotten this picture from a couple different sources. I'm pretty well known for my work with cannabis oil. And the first couple times I got this picture, I'm going to be honest, I did the same thing that a lot of people do, and I turned away. I reached out to the mother, and Victoria was very quick to respond and to go into a long, heartfelt story about life as it was with Elijah and dealing with eczema. She had been to many, many doctors, from the way that she described it, a handful of dermatologists, we'll say. She had tried many, many creams, different prescriptions, different home remedies. Nothing seemed to work. Nothing seemed to help. Things were getting worse. She described waking him up in the morning with sheets full of blood that she would have to throw away, entire pieces of his body where the skin had been scratched off, and so on. So this is something that you don't need to go into great detail to describe. It's very obvious. So right away I looked into cannabis and eczema. I've never treated anybody with eczema and cannabis. I've ran into and dealt with many conditions through the years of experience that I have. Is this one was just happened to be new to me. So like I do with many conditions, I simply type 2 words into Google, and I type the word eczema and I type the word cannabis. Instantly, of course, a search list pops up, and up comes the very first medical journal ever written about dermatology. Happens to include the treatment for eczema in it. So after reading this short part of this journal about eczema, it simply stated that a capsule full of cannabis indica oil at night seemed to relieve the symptoms of eczema. Fast forward a little bit, and we transferred this information to this mother right away. Of course, we met with her. We did a lot of learning together. Immediately, we came to the conclusion that this is something, risk versus reward, that was worth doing. And that's exactly what she did. Within 10 days, when I first met this kid, he was covered head to toe. I would guess 80-90% of his body was covered in scabs. Within 10 days, he was 90% clear, 95% clear. He had fresh skin from head to toe. It was undeniable that what we were doing was working. The fact that we've got an entire medical marijuana program in this state that helps thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, and the fact that we still carry this stigma with it, that kind of eliminates the possibility for a 3-year-old to take part without going to great lengths is a challenge. It's a problem, not a challenge. It's a problem. Really happy that somebody like me, who has nothing more than a simple garden in my 2-car garage, that makes a medicine with a very, very simple process, which we share on our website. Once again, that website is MichiganMarijuanaSeeds.org. If you look under medical marijuana on there, you'll see all the instructions on how to make the oil, the balm, everything that we do. We're not here to promote a product. We're not here to ask you for money. We're not asking for donations. We're simply sharing free information. And we believe that information is important. And I think that you should too. If you take a look at the pictures that we're sharing and some of the videos that we've got here, it becomes very obvious that cannabis is the treatment for eczema. And they knew that 100 years ago. They haven't come up with anything better since, and they're probably not going to tomorrow. So until that happens, this is the treatment for eczema, whether we're talking about a 1-year-old or a 100-year-old. And while not everything is going to work, or not anything is going to work for everyone or anything of the sort, we're very confident that if you've got a child that's dealing with a similar situation and the similar symptoms of eczema, we assure you that use of cannabis may be a viable option.